Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's video, I'm going to be mostly focusing on the Bitcoin rally that we've been having for the last few weeks. We're still in the rally, and the two questions that are coming to mind are, firstly, how far can we go in this rally? And secondly, the question is that when the inevitable correction comes, how far can we fall back down to? So we'll have a look at, firstly, the levels it can go up to, and then the levels it can fall back down to. I'm also going to be looking at the Bitcoin futures market and showing you the three gaps that we've left behind in this rally here. We've left behind a gap at 9,600, a gap at 11,100, and a gap at 11,400. And we'll look at the likelihood that those gaps get filled or not, whatever the case may be. Now, before I begin the video, I always want to let you know that everything in this video is for educational purposes only. Nothing in this video is giving you any financial advice. All I'm trying to do is to give you a little bit more knowledge of what I'm thinking and what I'm doing, and hopefully that will add to the pool of knowledge that you have in your wider research. And I hope and expect people to do a lot of wider research before they make their own decisions. And at the end of the day, we all have to make our own decisions. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, so we'll start off with this rally that we've had here. Anybody who's been in this market for more than a year or so will tell you that whenever you have a big rally, in any stocks really, but in particular Bitcoin, whenever we have this kind of a rally, as you can see here, we had a rally here, they're always followed by a correction. When we had this rally, we had a correction. When we had this rally here, a big correction. When we had this rally here, a big correction. This was the top of the previous all-time high. When we had this rally here, we had this big correction. So generally speaking, the rule of thumb is the bigger the rally, the bigger the correction, as you can see. So the question, first of all, I want to answer is, how far can this rally go in terms of in the upward direction? So let's have a look at the levels of where the price of Bitcoin can go to. And to do that, you really need to be looking left here. As you can see, we've gone past the 14,000, so there's no other levels here that we can actually refer to. So the only levels we've got to refer to is these levels here. And if you look at the tops of these candles and the wicks, you can see where the levels are. So currently we're at the 13,300 level here. And if you go left here, you can see that there are three candles here, one wick and two other candles here at that price. So it seems a natural place for it to be hanging around before it makes a decision to go up or to have a correction here. The next level is this wick here, as you can see. I'll just go a little bit closer so you can see it better. There you go. So we're at these levels here at these three candles. Then the next one is this wick here. If you look at this wick, it comes to around about the 17,100, 17,200 level. So the chances are that if we get past the 16,400 level, which is this wick here, this red wick there, so that's 16,400 and odd, which is exactly where the current top has been to, then the next level is going to be around 17,200 level. And if we get past the 17,200 level, then we're really going to the virtually the all-time highs of around the 19,500, 20,000 levels. So those are the levels that we can look forward to should we get past this. Am I expecting that? I doubt whether it would go to 20,000. Obviously, everything is possible with Bitcoin. And if you're chasing this price up here, which a lot of people are, even people who I know, and I've advised them not to chase this price up. But unfortunately, the emotions people are having around these levels, the emotions are just so strong and people just can't resist to get back in here. So which is fine. I understand why they're doing it. But for me, there is absolutely no way I would be chasing these prices up here, because if you look left, it's inevitable that whenever we have a rally like this, we have a fall. If you have a rally like this, we're going to have a fall. If we have a rally like this again here, fall. So every rally, please remember, has an inevitable fall somewhere down the line. The question is really, at what point are we going to have the correction. So it's not a case of if we're going to have one, it's a case of when we're going to have it. So it could be at these levels at 16 and a half. It could be at 17,200, or it could go all the way up to 20,000. And then we'll have a look at where we are. So the question now is, how far can we fall from here? Again, we need to measure how far we have come in this rally to know how far we can fall. So if you look at the current rally here, we have come from around the 10,300 level. If you've been watching my videos, you'll realize that we were all accumulating. Well, I was anyway, and this is what I was saying to you at the time, that I'm buying as much as I can at 10,300. And so if you take that to 10,300, let's say that around there, so far from that level, we've come about 60%. Now, what happens when we have a similar type of a rally, and how far does it fall? Well, if you look at this last rally that we had, we came up from around these levels here, and they went to the top around there, that level. So we had a 41% increase rally there. And from there, what was the correction? Because this will give us a very good guide as to what we can expect. So from that 40% increase, it came all the way down to these levels here at 9,800. That was a 20% correction. So virtually a half, a 50% correction in that sense from the increase in the rally. So it was a 40% increase, and we fell by 21%. So let's have a look at some of the other ones. In the previous bull market would be a very good reference point. So this is the previous bull market. These are the peaks that we've had in the previous bull market. We won't go through all of them. Let's just take this peak here. So this peak was reached after the price bottomed out around here. So if we take the measurements to this candle here, the price increased by 121%. So what was the correction from that point? From 121%, it came back down just within the next week to this red candle there, around 41%. So 120% increase to a 40% fall. So that's a third of the increase was given away back there. So let's take this peak here. This peak was reached from this increase here. And that was an 83% increase in the price. And the fall from these levels back to even this candle or this one here would be around about a 38% fall back again. We just take this final one over here. So this is where the price flattened off, and it increased from there by 66%. And we had a fall from those levels down to this red candle a week later of 36%. So between a third and a half of the gains in these markets are given up in the inevitable correction. So you can see the corrections here. We increased here, had a correction down, increased here, correction. From there, correction here, and a correction there, and from there. So all along the Bitcoin bull market, we always have a correction after every peak. So currently we're making a peak over here. If let's say the average price correction we get from the current levels is around about a third, so the increase as we saw here is around about from 10,300 is about the 60% mark. So a third of that would be at least minimum of 20%. So if the price decides to correct at the current levels, let me just make it a bit bigger so we can see quite clearly. So this is where we reached the peak so far, around 16,500. If it corrects by 20%, it would take the price down to 13,000. And if it corrected by 50%, half of this, 60%, so that's 30%, that would take us back towards the 21 weekly exponential moving average, which is where I'm expecting to buy the actual Bitcoins again. So a 30% fall would take us back down to around about the 11,500 at these current levels. So if you're one of those people who are getting sucked into the increase in the price here, the FOMO, the fear of missing out, then please remember that the inevitable correction will take you down, and you might have to ride it all the way down to the 11.5 mark maybe, or even further down. Now, the reason why I say further down is because if you now have a look at the futures market, and I always like to look at the 4-hourly chart. So this is the 4-hourly chart. Let me take the EMA out of the picture. Now, if you look at in the futures market, this is where we're at, around the 16.5 level. Now, we have two gaps that are marked out here. This gap is here is around about the 11,400 level, and as you can see, we have not come back. We have not come back to actually correct at this level, and we also left a gap at 11,100 over here, and again we have not come back to correct that. And finally, we have this gap here at the 9,600. I've marked these before, which have now obviously been filled, and in the previous times these gaps. So I do follow the gaps, and as we know, what the picture is with the gaps is that more than likely virtually every gap has been filled. We still actually have a gap at around about the 3,500 level. It does not look like that one will get filled. I know some people are still thinking that we're going to come down to 3,500 mark. I can't see it. Everything's possible with Bitcoin, but I can't see it. But certainly the 9,000 gap, the 9,000 gap seems to be one that has still a small possibility of being filled, but the 11,100 and the 11,400 levels certainly have a very good probability of being filled. So when the correction comes, is this a guide for us that this is where the price is going to come back down to? Because if the price did come back down to, let's say, the 11,100, if we go back to our Bitcoin chart on the normal market, and we look at the weekly chart again, so we know where we were before. Take that out. Put the EMA in there as well. If we were to come back down to the 11,400 and the 11,100 levels, then we can see here how much of a fall it would be. So if the price corrects from current levels, let's say, to, let's say, 11,400, 11,400 is about there. That would be a 30% correction, and at 11,100, around there, that would be a 32% correction. Now, as you know, with Bitcoin, this is very, very possible. And even the 9,600, if it corrected from current levels down to 9,600, would present a 40% correction. And we've had these 40% corrections many, many times in the past, as we've seen in the last bull market. So these big corrections will come along, and everything is possible with Bitcoin. So please bear that in mind. So keep that bigger picture always in your mind, that everything is possible with Bitcoin. Just a final look on the bigger picture with Bitcoin, obviously, is, as I've mentioned in many videos, this is currently where we're at. We're in this red channel here. We've gone out from the bottom of the channel towards the top, and it's gone past. So we're basically having a breakout here, and we are expecting the price to come back down whenever, as I mentioned now. But the interesting thing here is that if we look at the 21 weekly moving average, it's at 11,800 level. So this would be a natural place. But remember also that when the price starts coming back down, the 21 weekly moving average will flatten off or even go down a little bit. So it may well be that the price of Bitcoin comes to meet the 21 weekly exponential moving average at around about the between 11 and 11,500 mark. So keep your eye on that before we move into this parabolic phase. Now, if we have actually started this parabolic phase, which I don't believe we have, if you want to support our channel, all you'd have to do is go down below one of my videos here, and in the description box there's an affiliate link for the Etoro trading platform. And below that are the reasons why I use the Etoro platform and why it's such a fantastic platform to use. And for all those people who have already used this affiliate link to support the channel, thank you very much indeed. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you want to support us further, you can always click the like button here and join the Wisdom Bites community here by subscribing to our channel. I believe this is just a normal rally with a normal pullback that's on its way. Certainly it's been a bigger rally than I expected. I didn't think it would go past the upper channel there, but like I've said many times, we can only go by probabilities. There's no certainties in the market, and we have to be always honest. No one has a crystal ball. No one can tell the future. All we can do is go by the charts, and I can only show you what I can see in the charts here. And the charts are just telling me exactly what I'm telling you now, and that is that we've broken this channel, we've gone on a breakout, and it'll be very interesting when and where the 21 weekly moving average meets the current price level. So and obviously on a bigger picture, as you can see from here, we have our target of 300,000 at the end of next year, so that is still intact. And in that bigger picture, this is where we're at. And as you can see, we have a few candles that are going up there. The other interesting thing you may have noticed is that very rarely do we get so many green candles all in a row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekly candles all in a row. And whenever we do get that, we do have an inevitable correction, like we had one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So after 7, we corrected. After, not this one here, but I think it was in 2019 when we had a series of them. And that was over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 green candles before we corrected and we moved on again. So we do get some series. I think 7 is probably the most we've ever had. So we're on the 6th one at the moment. So it seems quite inevitable to me that sooner or later we're going to have a correction, and the question is how much of that correction. So those are the levels that I'm thinking that it's going to come back down to meet the 21 weekly moving average, maybe to come back and close the gap at 11,400 or 11,100, or even possibly go further lower down to the 9,600 level. I also want to show you something very interesting here, and that is the Bitcoin Greed and Fear Index is currently at extreme greed at 89. So make of this whatever you will. And as you know, from these levels here, how the market of Bitcoin has behaved in the past, if you just look at the chart here, the last time we came to these levels, remember this is the highest level we've reached since, if you go left there, last June, when we actually toppled from the 13,800 level down to the 4,000 level. We had this correction down here. So to me, this, the way I read it anyway, is that we're coming very, very close to the top. We may still have a little bit more to go, like the levels I've said to you earlier, but we're coming very close to the top, and we're about to have an inevitable correction. So let's wait and see what happens, but keep your eye on the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you once again for watching. Now, if you found value in this video, then please do remember to like, subscribe, and to turn on the notification bell. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.